Hello, my friends. Welcome back to English Unleashed. In today's episode, we are going to talk about a problem that so many English learners have. Maybe you know this feeling very well. You know some English. You understand many words. You can read. You can listen. But when it is time to speak, your mouth becomes slow. Your mind becomes busy, and suddenly you pause too much. You want to say something simple, but your brain starts working too hard. You look for words. You worry about grammar. You try to make the perfect sentence. And because of that, your speaking loses its flow. So today, we're going to talk about how to speak English without pausing so much. We're going to talk about how to think faster and talk faster in English, not in a stressful way, not in a rushed way, but in a smoother and more natural way. So, this episode is for you if you often say, I know English, but I can't speak smoothly. This episode is for you if you stop in the middle of sentences. And this episode is for you if you want to feel more relaxed when you speak. So take a deep breath, relax, and let's begin. All right, let me start with something very simple. Pausing is normal. Please remember that. Even native speakers pause. Even confident speakers pause. Even people who speak very well sometimes stop for a second and think. So, the goal is not to become a robot. The goal is not to speak very fast all the time. The goal is to speak with less fear, less pressure, and less stopping. Many learners think, if I pause, my English is bad. But that is not always true. Sometimes you pause because you care too much. Sometimes you pause because you want to be correct. Sometimes you pause because your brain is doing too many jobs at the same time. You are trying to remember words. You are trying to remember grammar. You are trying to sound natural. You are trying not to make mistakes. That is a lot. So first, I want you to feel calm. If you pause a lot now, that does not mean you are bad at English. It simply means your speaking system needs more practice. And the good news is this. If you practice in the right way, you will become faster. Now let's talk about why learners pause so much. One big reason is this. Many learners try to build every sentence from zero. They do not speak in ready-made parts. They do not use easy patterns. They try to create every sentence word by word, and that takes time. Imagine this. Someone asks you, "What did you do this morning?" Now, maybe you know the answer. Maybe the answer is easy. But inside your mind, something like this happens. First, you think about your morning. Then, you think in your own language. Then, you try to move that idea into English. Then, you look for the right tense. Then you think, should I say go or went? And then you think, is this sentence correct? And then after all that, you finally speak. No wonder you pause. This is very common. Many learners do this. But if you build every sentence from zero, speaking will always feel slow. Fluent speakers do not always build from zero. They use familiar patterns. They use language they already know well. They use chunks. Chunks are groups of words that stay together. For example, I think, to be honest, the problem is, one thing I noticed is, well, it depends. I'm not sure, but these small groups help your mind move faster. You do not need to create the whole sentence from nothing. You already have the beginning. You already have the road. And that changes everything. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine someone asks you, "Do you like working from home?" If you start from zero, maybe you pause. But if you begin with a frame, it becomes easier. I think working from home is great because now you are moving, right? Or it depends. If I need quiet, I like working from home. But if I want to talk to people, I prefer the office. Can you hear the difference? The sentence is not too difficult, but it flows. It moves step by step. That is what we want. Here is another reason learners pause too much. They translate everything. This is a very big one. Now, let me be fair. Translation is not evil. Translation is natural. Many learners do it. It can help sometimes, especially in the beginning. But if you translate every single sentence, your speaking becomes heavy and slow. Why? Because translation adds one extra step. You do not only think of the idea, you think of the idea in your own language first. Then you search for the English version. That means your brain is carrying extra weight. Let's say you see a cup of coffee in the morning. A fluent speaker may think, "I need coffee." Very direct, very fast. But a learner who translates may first think the sentence in your own language, and only after that say it in English. That little delay happens again and again, and slowly it becomes a habit. So, what can you do? You can start with very small moments. You do not need to stop translating completely in one day. That would be too hard. But you can slowly teach your mind to connect English directly to life. For example, when you open the window, you can say, "It's cold today." When you sit down to work, you can say, "I need to focus." When you look at your phone, you can say, "I have 3 messages." You see, these are small sentences, but they are powerful. Why? Because they connect English to your real actions, to real objects, to real moments. This helps your brain think more directly in English. Now let's talk about another reason why learners pause. Well, this is very common. They want to be perfect. Yes, this one is very important. Many learners do not just want to speak, they want to speak perfectly. They want the perfect word, the perfect grammar, the perfect pronunciation, and the perfect sentence structure. And of course, it is good to care, but perfection creates pressure, and pressure slows you down. Sometimes a learner knows a simple way to say something, but they do not say it. Why? Because they are looking for a better word, a more advanced word, a more impressive word. That search creates silence. For example, maybe you want to say, I was very tired. That sentence is correct, it is clear, it is natural. But then your brain says, no, maybe I should say exhausted. Or maybe I should say worn out. Or maybe I should say drained. And then you stop. And then the moment is gone. Please listen carefully to this point. Simple English is powerful English. If you can say something clearly, that is already a success. You do not always need the best word. You need a useful word. You need a word you can say quickly and clearly. This is one of the biggest secrets of smooth speaking. Smooth speaking comes before advanced speaking. First, you build flow. Later, you build style. If a learner tries to sound advanced too early, they may become silent. So next time you speak, give yourself permission to be simple. Say, I'm tired. Say, I don't know. Say, I like it. Say, it was difficult. These are not weak sentences. They are real sentences. Now I want to share one big idea with you. Fluency is not magic. Fluency is not something that some people have and other people do not have. Fluency is not only talent. Fluency is speed with familiar language. Let me say that again. Fluency is speed with familiar language. When language becomes familiar, your brain can use it faster. When a sentence pattern becomes familiar, your mouth can produce it more easily. So, if you want to speak with fewer pauses, do not only study more words, train your English in patterns, train your English in groups, train your English in sentences that you can use again and again. Let's take one frame. I'm trying to. Now watch how many things you can say with it. I'm trying to speak more clearly. I'm trying to learn new words. I'm trying to read every day. I'm trying to feel more confident. Same frame, different meanings. This is smart practice. Instead of learning random words one by one, you are learning how English moves. All right. Before we finish, I want to leave you with this thought. Speaking English without pausing so much is not about becoming a different person. It is about training in a different way. It is about making your English lighter, simpler, and more automatic. So this week, keep it simple. Use short answers. Use sentence frames. Practice one idea in different ways. And most of all, keep speaking. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of English Unleashed. Until next time, keep learning, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself. Bye for now.